Good morning from sunny Cornwall. Hello, fans of poorly made civilization games. At the moment, I've taken a step back from trying to do the wall feature. It is sort of working to a degree. Let me see, where it does propose these segments, but they're not being used very well at the moment. But one of the problems that I've got that sort of makes it a bit difficult to test the feature is we have a runaway economy. So if you have a look at these scores up here, what we're finding is me and Claude are finding as our dream design team are finding is that we got a bit of a runaway gold issue where gold is just being accumulated and not properly being spent. So digging into it, we've got a bit of a double dip finance situation where what's supposed to happen is gold gets allocated by like a strategic AI layer, which is basically looking at what sort of phase the empires are in, the civilizations are in. If they're in an early stage, they should be looking to expand, not necessarily spending a huge amount of money on military to start with, and just trying to do a bit of a land grab to begin with. So it allocates more to infrastructure and expansion pools. And then later on, as things get a bit more expanded on the map, it might move some of those funds to get allocated to military. But actually, that's not happening. What it's doing is it's sort of keeping the gold overall in a big pool, allocating funds which are then spent, but they're not being deducted from the overall pool. So as you can see, the sort of gold numbers are just racking away, and because at the moment some of the simplistic army scoring is based on how much gold they have, this just scales dramatically and just gets a bit out of control. So and you can see hundreds of armies just wandering around, not really having any kind of cost. So I've got Claude working on this at the moment, and we'll see whether it can get any of this under control, where it's actually having a bit more impact on these numbers. And this is the current state, which is a little bit of an improvement, but not dramatically. So I've divided up the spending pools into military, civilian, and reserve, and these allocations for how much it's putting into these things should dynamically change based on events. So as more warfare happens, the military budget goes up and less spend is on civil. But there's a couple of problems with it at the moment, in that even though there's nothing to really build, the map's been filled out, so there's nowhere to expand into, and they're all at war, it's still dumping a fair amount of money into civilian projects, which would be fine, except there's nothing to build. So it's just this is just growing and growing and growing, and nothing's been spent on it. This would probably be fine were it not for the other bug, which is at the moment everything is garrisoning. So armies spend more money when they're out in the field rather than garrisoned in cities or at gatehouses or watchtowers. So what that's doing is everything is in turtle mode. It's, even though they're at war, they've got a number of armies here. They're just sending them to garrison cities, and they're not actually attacking anything. This is even made worse here because I've got a flip-flop bug where they're deciding which cities are most at threat and then just bouncing between them back and forwards, which you can see here. So nobody's attacking anybody. Gold is growing massively, mainly into infrastructure projects, and nobody's spending it on actual warfare and trying to actually get an advantage in here. So I'm working on that. At the moment, I'm working on the flip-flop bug and the war posture, which might sort of basically fix this infrastructure problem, because they'll actually be attacking each other rather than just garrisoning over and over again and always being in turtle mode. So we'll see if that fixes it, but I think what else I might do is just say there's a cap on the maximum that can go into either military and civilian budgets, and if it reaches over that, it starts dumping it into reserve instead, which can be spent on anything. And if reserve grows too big, it'll increase the offensive structure posture for the civilization. It'll get more aggressive, which will tend to make it fight a bit more and spend that money. So we'll see how that goes.